Today, we're taking a massive geographical road trip right across the wildly contrasting landscapes of the Baja California Peninsula. We're going to explore a region where the ecosystems completely flip over incredibly short distances. So we'll be starting near the bustling port of Ensenada and trekking all the way across to the Sea of Cortez, unpacking the incredible natural wonders that really define this unique slice of the planet.
Now, when most people picture Baja California, they immediately imagine warm, sun-drenched beaches and miles of arid desert, right? Well, consider this. Where else can you find explosive ocean geysers, beachfront hot tubs, and snowy mountain peaks all in one single trip? Believe it or not, the answer is right here in northern Baja. Okay, let's dive into this and shatter some of those desert stereotypes by looking at the hard geographical and biological facts of the region.
Here is our route for today. We'll start on the Pacific edge, uncover the hidden sands, make a freezing ascent to ice, take the eastern descent, and wrap it all up with a grand finale. Starting us off with Part 1, the Pacific Edge, looking specifically at Punta, Banda, and La Bufadora. Just 23 miles south of the Ensenada cruise port, situated on a finger-like strip of land called the Punta Banda Peninsula, we find a crystal-clear illustration of raw geological power. To give you an idea of the sheer force we're talking about, picture a massive column of seawater shooting 30 meters, or roughly 100 feet, straight up into the air. That is La Bufadora, one of the largest marine geysers in the world. And you know the craziest part? This isn't a geothermal geyser like Old Faithful. It is a completely ocean-fed blowhole driven entirely by the intense energy of Pacific swells colliding with the coastal rock.
The actual mechanics behind this are so fascinating. The name comes from the Spanish verb bufar, which means to snort. Basically, as these huge ocean waves forcefully push water into a narrow, partially submerged sea cave, the air inside gets trapped and highly compressed. Then, when the water starts to recede, all that trapped, pressurized air violently explodes upward, taking a massive column of water with it. The result is this dramatic spray and a thunderous, roaring sound that genuinely sounds like the snort of some enormous, furious animal.
Now, while La Bufadora is definitely cool, it attracts busloads of tourists and is surrounded by a super busy market. But if you take just a short 10-minute drive past the blowhole, it reveals a completely different vibe. The Campo 9 coastal bluffs offer this raw, absolutely untouched coastal beauty. You access it via dirt roads, so a 4x4 is definitely recommended, but man, this area easily rivals Big Sur. It's got sweeping cliffside vistas and really rugged hiking trails. It's just a stark, beautiful contrast to the commercialized viewing platforms just up the road.
Moving on to Part 2, the Hidden Sands, featuring some incredible beachfront hot springs.
Let's move slightly down the beach to Agua Caliente and see how this builds our picture of Baja's geothermal activity. This is honestly one of the most unique experiences in Baja, literally building your own beachfront hot tub. But you have to know the local secret to actually pull it off. Step 1 is all about timing. You absolutely must arrive at least 2 hours before low tide. Step 2, you grab a shovel and start digging a hole in the sand right near the ocean. Placement is absolutely key here, because the closer to the ocean you are, the more cold water will mix in. Finally, Step 3, you just sit back and soak in the soothing, naturally hot geothermal spring water. But you've got to enjoy it while it lasts, because once that tide comes back in, your pristine hot tub instantly turns into a freezing ocean pool. The tricky part, though, is actually finding the hot water in the first place. At first glance, Agua Caliente looks exactly like a regular beach. The thermal spots are completely hidden under the sand, and the high tide quickly erases any holes dug by the previous visitors. So if you want to find the exact spot to dig, you literally need these precise GPS coordinates to pinpoint the thermal activity. It is a true hidden gem, literally buried right there on the shoreline. Now for Part 3, the ascent to ice, taking us up into the Sierra de Juárez Mountains. Leaving those warm coastal hot springs behind, we head inland and upward, and let me tell you, the contrast is just incredible. Down on the coast, you've got this mild Mediterranean climate dominated by coastal sage scrub and chaparral. But as you ascend into the Sierra de Juárez, the environment transforms completely. We're talking about an area that gets significant winter snow. In fact, it absolutely blew my mind to learn that weather stations at Laguna Hansen have recorded temperatures as astonishingly low as minus 19 degrees Celsius. For the Americans listening, that is minus 2.2 degrees Fahrenheit. It's just a staggering geographical shift, just a short drive away from the sunny Pacific coast. This drastic change in elevation creates what ecologists call a sky island.
Within Constitution 1857 National Park, you'll find an elevated temperate pine oak forest, completely surrounded by much lower, arid desert lands. This isolated ecosystem is what allows species like the Jeffrey pine, Perry pinyon pine, lodgepole pine, and white fir to actually thrive at high altitudes, essentially marooned above the desert heat below. It's a brilliant example of how elevation strictly dictates biodiversity.
No, what's really fascinating about this 1,980-meter peak, which is roughly 6,500 feet, is that it acts as the southern tip of the Great Basin Divide. It actually forms a super-rare triple watershed point. Depending on exactly where a single drop of rain falls on these peaks, it will either drain north into the Great Basin, west into the Pacific Ocean, or east down into the Gulf of California.
Which perfectly sets up Part 4, the Eastern Descent, to check out San Felipe's extreme tides.
So draining down the eastern slopes, right through the arid Sonoran Desert, we arrive at the old shrimp fishing town of San Felipe, which brings us to an incredible hydrological phenomenon. The northern end of the Sea of Cortez has a massive vertical tidal range of up to 32 feet. That's nearly 10 meters. Because the Gulf of California holds an immense amount of water in a relatively narrow basin, the Pacific tidal movements create this colossal funnel effect. This massive shifting of water ends up exposing massive stretches of the ocean floor every single day.
To truly understand what a 32-foot vertical drop looks like horizontally, the outdoor writer Gene Kira actually took a GPS unit out to the San Felipe mudflats during a very low tide just to measure it. Walking straight out from the launch ramp at the edge of town, he tracked the receding water, and the result? The ocean water retreated a staggering 0.23 miles, or 1,214 feet horizontally. That is nearly a quarter mile of naked ocean floor just totally exposed to the open air.
And that brings us to Part 5, our grand finale, the world's aquarium.
For the final leg of our journey, we plunge deep into those very waters. The Sea of Cortez is a 700-mile-long shimmering extension of the Pacific, and it is widely considered to be one of the richest marine environments on Earth. It is so spectacular that during his famous 1987 expedition, the legendary French explorer Jacques Cousteau actually dubbed it the Aquarium of the World. His team documented just an incredible array of marine species, everything from vibrant coral reefs to majestic megafauna, really bringing the beauty of this aquatic paradise to the world's attention.
To put that biodiversity into perspective for a second, just look at the marine mammals alone. The Sea of Cortez is home to as many as 36 different species of marine mammals. Compare that to the entire coast of the state of Alaska, which hosts 29 species. So, the crucial question is, why is there so much life here? Well, it all comes back down to those massive 32-foot tides we just talked about. This colossal movement of water creates deep upwellings, pulling huge amounts of nutrients from 1,500 feet below right up to the surface. When you combine that with a coastal mangrove forest acting as natural nurseries, you get this massive, continuous feast that supports an astounding density of life.
And this feast attracts some true giants. The Gulf is an absolute haven for humpback, blue, and fin whales, as well as whale sharks, massive pods of dolphins, and gliding manta rays. However, it is also home to the vaquita, which is a small, endemic porpoise. Tragically, the vaquita is critically endangered, with recent estimates suggesting only about 12 remain. Now, our source material notes that this drastic decline is primarily cited as the result of illegal gill netting practices in the region, which has led to very high rates of bycatch. It's a really sobering reminder of exactly how fragile these ecosystems actually are.
Beyond the biology, the geology of the Sea of Cortez is equally active. The entire Baja Peninsula actually sits on a tectonic rift, meaning it is physically separating from the North American plate. Every single year, the Baja Peninsula moves another 2 inches toward the Pacific Ocean. That means this aquarium of the world is literally expanding, growing wider by 2 inches year after year, hiding deep-sea hydrothermal vents and thriving microorganisms in its depths.
Which brings us to a final, critical question to chew on. Can the resilient aquarium of the world maintain its delicate balance and actually survive for future generations to explore? The Sea of Cortez has survived tectonic shifts for millions of years, sure, but today it faces some intense modern pressures. With the expansion of tourism, mega-resorts, and the impacts of heavy commercial fishing and bottom trawling, this incredible ecosystem is under immense strain right now. But as we've seen today, from the roaring coastal blowholes near Ensenada to the freezing mountain sky islands of the Sierra de Juárez, and down to the nutrient-rich tidal mudflats of San Felipe, Baja is undeniably a place of breathtaking extremes. Keep exploring and keep learning.